Welcome back to the VinWiki Appraisal Panel, where alongside John Temerian from Curated and John Ficarra from Ficarra Classic, we appraise the car collections of major YouTubers and automotive influencers. As always, gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us, Ed. It's always an honor to be with this incredible group of guys.
It's great to be back. I can't wait to do this one and so many more.
We always have some fun, and today we are going to appraise the car collection of Manny Khoshbin. He's got an incredible collection of cars, and he started an amazing YouTube channel to tell us all about them. So today we are going to go through them, but that could only be possible thanks to today's sponsor, Auto Tempest. We've talked about Auto Tempest a lot, but it is honestly the best way for you to shop for your next car. They allow you to search all the major listing sites at the same time, including searching nationally on sites like Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. So be sure to check out Auto Tempest now by clicking the link at the description below to find your next car and to support this Car Trek and everything we do here at VinWiki. So let's dive in and look at some of Manny's incredible cars. I think the best place to start is with his McLaren P1. He's had a lot of McLarens, but this one I think is the most unique. Not quite as unique as when it was first delivered. When Manny first took delivery of this car, it was done as the MK Edition, done in a chameleon paint over a bare carbon body. Now, for about $250,000 extra on top of your P1, you could choose to have an exposed carbon body for the entire car rather than just the doors and the front bumper and rear bumper. And so Manny chose to do that, but to be quite honest, it looked ridiculous. And so it only looked that way for a very short time, and then he bought another bare carbon body from McLaren and just had it all done in the matte or satin finish. And so much like the carbon trim on a 675, the whole car is matte carbon. I think these cars are all headed in the right direction, and I put the car at 1.8.
I have to agree with you completely, Ed. I think these cars are headed in a great direction. There's a lot of new generation of collectors that have recently added this to their collection. Pet Fred is one of them and a few other major players in the car world. I'm going to agree with you at $1.8 million.
I gotta say, I love the P1. When I worked at Canepa, Bruce got one of the first in the country. It was, of course, totally custom for him. A phenomenal car. It's got a lot of upside. It's a real driver's car. I think it's stunning, and I think his car in particular is really well done. And I actually put it a little higher at 1.9.
There you go. He's also got a Speedtail like a lot of big McLaren collectors do. His is a dark blue. I am not personally a huge fan of the Speedtail, but they do seem to be commanding a little over their MSRP, so I put it at 3.2.
I think this car is completely a gimmick from McLaren. I don't think it embodies the spirit of McLaren in general. When I think of McLaren, I think of like really hardcore enthusiasts. And I think this car is like pure, show off, Monaco playboy, Russian oligarch type car. I don't get this car. I hate to say it. The electric doors just bother me. It doesn't embody the DNA of McLaren, so I'm going to put this car at 2.5 million.
I agree with John. Speedtail is not what I thought McLaren should be building, and certainly not the car that should have got the F1 center seat. It is a gimmicky car. It is the car that you want to roll up to an opening for a film, but I don't know if anybody actually wants to drive it, and the people I know who have driven them aren't terribly impressed by them. Very un-McLaren-like. But I still think they have a certain amount of value. They're always going to have value. They're a multi-million-dollar car. So I put it at $3 million.
Manny also has had several Bugattis, but he just sold one of them, so we won't include that, but many of you will have seen his blue and white over cream 2006 Veyron. It actually sold rather recently to a VinWiki storyteller, so I'm sure he'll be on before too terribly long to tell us about that car. But he does still have a Veyron, a gorgeous Rembrandt Vitesse, and so that is the open top, higher horsepower version of the Veyron, all in brown carbon fiber. Spectacular car. I love it. I put it at 2.6 million.
I think this car is just so cool. I am in love with these Vitesse cars. We recently actually sold two. I think especially with the new Mistral coming out and the price point of the Mistral, I think the Vitesse is the last great, Veyron open roof car. And I'm just, listen, I'm sort of gushing over this car. I think it's gorgeous, it's rare, it's cool. I'm going to put it at a future price, but I think today to duplicate this car, it'd be hard to duplicate. I'm going to put it at 2.9 million.
I'm kind of a fan of this car. I love the brown. I got to be honest. He's got a couple of these brown cars, and the brown works on the shape of this car. And for those who don't know, the Rembrandt name is not the painter. It's actually the brother of Ettore Bugatti, who was a famous animal sculptor. And he was famous for doing the elephant on top of the Bugatti, I think Type 41 Royale. And that's actually like this logo inside that specific car. So it's a nice callback to their history. I really love it. I think it's cool. I would have it all day long. I put it at 2.75.
There you go. Of course, Manny also has a Chiron. He's got a Skyview car, and it's one of his Hermes edition cars, so it's got a lot of special accents, a special interior, probably some luggage and things to go with it. The residual values of Chirons have been remarkable, much better than Veyrons did when they were first released. So I put this car at 3.5.
You know, I sort of destroyed his Speedtail, so I'm I'm gonna come back and help the value of his collection with this car. I think what he's done with the Hermes edition and all these different things, I think looking back one day, these cars will be really cherished because they were sort of bespoke cars from, you know, a well-known character in the automotive community. I'm gonna put it at 3.7. And that's just because I think it has so much character, and one day we'll be talking about this special edition, maybe on the 18th green at Pebble Beach.
I agree with you, John. It is a special car. It's one of one. I mean, how many cars are going to be like this? That's it. That's the one that was built. I mean, he special ordered it in that cool chalk color. It seems like really his Hermes cars seem like the most expensive way to buy luggage you could ever think of. It's a phenomenal car to begin with. The cashmere fabric on the seats are one-off seats. They're not the regular Chiron seats. I think it's just stellar, and I think it is like a future special car that'll be brought out on special occasions. And I agree with Ed, and I put it at 3.5.
The Pagani that he has is also very special. It's an early Huayra, but it is a Tempesta package car, which was well over $100,000 as a retrofit. It is all exposed brown bare carbon, which is spectacular. Also an Hermes edition. I'll say, you know, when you look at these cars, they dipped down to just over $1 million for a very short time, and now they have climbed significantly. The MSRPs of new Paganis have skyrocketed, and so I put this car at 2.3.
Ed, I remember when the prices dropped down, and I thought, wow, that's actually a cool buy. It's a lot of car when you think about just over $1 million. And that didn't last long. The values came right back up. And I think just today, Pagani's built such a great brand, and they have just such a huge following that I agree with you price-wise. I think it's right in that range. I put this car just at 2.3 million, but I think there'd be plenty of buyers for anything that Manny's spec'd because he's just so great at speccing cars.
He does spec cars beautifully, and who would know? Like, who would have said a few years ago that would be gushing over brown cars? But this is another beautiful brown car, spec'd great. The Pagani is really, you know, they've set themselves apart as this bespoke, handmade, hand-tooled car. You know, there's no, you know, corporate overlord from Volkswagen telling them what to do. They're just amazing cars, and I think they're going to just keep going up. And, you know, the fact that this thing's got like 816 horsepower doesn't hurt. I put it at 2.25.
There we go. The next car he didn't spec, but he still, I think, chose the best spec available. He's got a Ken Miles Heritage Edition Ford GT. Now, I didn't really love the early Heritage options for the new Ford GT, but I think this car is spectacular. If you're going to have a new Ford GT and you're not going to go with a one-of-a-kind color, this was the one to have. So I put it at 1.1.
You know, I agree with you, Ed. I didn't like the first Heritage editions. I think this car is stunning. I think it's elegant. It sort of has this incredible, no pun intended, heritage to the original car. I'm going to put it at 1.2 million. If you look at the special editions, Ford GTs, the new cars, they've brought a lot more now than just any regular car.
I'm going to have to disagree with both of you on this one. The livery is from the 1966 Daytona race, which Ken Miles won. And it's not a famous livery. It's not a particularly attractive livery. I don't think anybody would even know if the real GT40 rolled up, they'd know what race that was from. I'm not a huge fan of these heritage cars. They just smack of being, kind of a cheap homage just to get a few extra dollars on a paint job and some stickers. Granted, I love Ken Miles, and I'm going to put it at 1.150. I added that 50 for Ken Miles, but I don't understand the heritage thing.
Now, Manny loves SLRs probably more than anyone. I enjoyed the Paris Hilton car an awful lot, and I probably sold it a little short of what they're worth now. I'm happy with what I've replaced it with, but he currently has 7. Some are coupes, some are roadsters, they're all different colors. They are all exceptionally nice. When mine was for sale, a lot of people asked Manny or tagged him in my post saying, Manny, buy more SLRs from Ed, but he wasn't going to buy a 24,000 mile car. So I just numbered them all together at about 350 grand each, which comes to 2.45 million for the 7.
I think these cars are increasing every day. They were the competitor to the Carrera GT and the Enzo. Unfortunately, I think service costs are a little high. That being said, I think there's still a deal at that price range. I'm going to put an even 2.5 million for all of them.
I did the same math that you did, Ed, because they run 300 to 400 grand. So you do that, divide by 7, you get 2.45.
So it'll all come down to how well he can manipulate the market as he sells them off. And he's listed a few recently, but I don't think any of them have left the collection. Now, the moving targets of Manny's collection, and I will be honest, they didn't provide us this list. We made this list from the posts that he's made, the videos that he's made, and things like that. But he's always got a fleet of Rolls Royces. And at the moment, as best I can gather, he's got a Phantom Drophead, a Ghost, a Dawn, and an extended wheelbase new Phantom. So I said that the Drophead was 250, the Ghost was 200, the Dawn was 250, and the Phantom EWB was 350. I don't know exactly how old they are. I'm sure that none of them have all that many miles, and I'm sure they're all special specs with special interiors and special Manny Khoshbin things, but I figure that's a good guess.
I have no idea on this market today. I do know that for a while, I guess some of these cars were bringing a massive amount over sticker recently. I think that's just, BS. I'm going to agree with you, Ed. I think your numbers are spot on.
I did a little more homework, so I watched a few videos on these. His Ghost, actually, is his highest mileage car. He takes his kids to school in it. And all these cars were, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 new. The Phantom long wheelbase, those were 550 grand new. They're all white, and they're relatively well spec'd, and he drives them all, which I totally respect that. So I put them at, going Drophead, Ghost, Dawn, Phantom. I put them at, if I can get this right, 200, 250, 250, and 375 for the long wheelbase.
There you go. He's also got a couple of Porsches, both very desirable cars. He's got the newest GT3, the 992.1, in yellow, and he's also got the Targa 4S Heritage Design Edition, both very hard to get. Impressive that he got the allocations because he's not historically a huge Porsche guy. I know he had a Carrera GT for a time and things like that. I just numbered them each at 275.
I'm gonna agree with you on that, Ed. I think it's remarkable he got the allocations. I recently got a Turbo S for myself because I drove a Targa and I fell in love with it. I think it's one of the best modern cars built today. I commend Porsche for what they've done with that car. I couldn't get an allocation for a Targa. I was lucky enough to get an allocation for a Turbo S, but I think any new Porsche today, that last generation of 911s is an incredible car. I'm gonna put it the same as 275 and 275.
I love both these cars. Obviously, I love Porsche. The GT3 is nicely optioned. It was a good choice. It's a great car. The Targa, I love the Targas. I love how they work and how they look. Now, the Heritage Design Editions, they only made 992 of these, and they're just like a look package, just like a corduroy interior from back in the 50s. It's a real hodgepodge of homages from different decades. I don't get the car. They were I think 180 new, and of course they didn't sell it sticker, but they were 40 over the regular 4S. I don't totally understand why people are running after them, especially with the number on the door, and again, it's kind of like the Ken Miles car. So I put it at 245.
It doesn't matter how you slice it. Each of us came in just shy of $20 million for the current value of Manny's collection. There's always cars coming and going. He makes some great content. I know he does a lot in commercial real estate. It's amazing what he has built, and it's been a whole lot of fun to watch his journey of car collecting. And so thank you guys so very much for watching. Please do go and check out Auto Tempest now. We've put a link in the description below, but go there and please search for your next car. It's where I start most of my days, and it is the most powerful source of all the cars that are currently for sale on the internet. So be sure to check them out now to thank them for their support of Car Trek, of VinWiki, and we'll be back soon with another appraisal. Thank you, gentlemen.